Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because 8th Mile Apparel is now carrying Going Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting 8thmileapparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Going Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
Casey and George back coming at you from the shop here tonight, trying to get this all back in order. Episode 177 of the Going Bracket Racing Live podcast, November 26, 2024. Got all kinds of stuff all here around me I'm not used to. Got some stuff back there. Everybody needs to pay attention to everything back there because those are all the people that allow this to be free to you every single week. TSR Racing Products, you'll see there. Stuff back there on that back screen. Power Glides, Turbo 350, 727s. All kinds of stuff, Turbo 400s. Don't forget about those. But by the way, you want to freshen that transmission up this time of year, you need to call TSR Racing Products, get all that stuff on order. BRG 3D printed parts. Got the chance to catch up with Brian Garrett a little bit earlier today. Talked to Zeroff there for a while. We were talking about stuff all the way from top alcohol dragsters to comp eliminator to, of course, Brian Garrett's got to talk about those Mopars time to time. But BRG 3D printed parts, that's his company. Give Brian a call for any custom parts you need, anything that can be printed up on a 3D printer. He's got a whole bunch of them out there. BRG 3D printed parts. Hit him up. Get all those fancy, like if you got cool, I'm looking at the Chevelle right in front of me. Y'all can't see it right now, but I'm looking at the Chevelle right in front of me, and I'm sitting here thinking one day maybe I want to go coil on plug. Brian Garrett will print me up some sort of sweet deal to hold all those 8 coils that you need hanging off of everything. So there's all kinds of stuff. BRG 3D printed parts. Hit them up. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas. You obviously want to hit them up for anything that you need for your business, for your company. You go into PRI, you need any kind of logos, decals, shirts, anything that you can think of, brochures. You need those to pass around at PRI. Contact Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas. Get it done. Driven Racing Oil. There's Driven Racing Oil everywhere around here. This isn't all what they sell, but if you use code GBR10, you get 10% off every single thing here and anything else they got on their website. Look at that big banner behind me. It's the best thing you can run, especially if you're racing this time of year, whenever it's getting a little bit cold, which is something we're going to get into on this show a little while later. Use the code GBR10 at checkout. Get yourself 10% off your order. No limits on it. Proform Parts. Visit proformparts.com for your starters, alternators, carburetors, accessories, radiators, tools. These things right here, I'm telling you, these adjustable AN wrenches are about the best thing that you'll ever have. I know all of us want it, and none of us have it. You don't destroy your fittings anymore, and you can the adjustable ones are actually really nice, but of course they sell that little kit. I want to say it's only $100. You get one of everything. Go to proformparts.com and get that stuff. And don't forget to be a YouTube subscriber, because if you're a YouTube subscriber, you get into all of our giveaways. You'll see some stuff rotating back there on that back screen. We got 2 more things that you need to get subscribed to YouTube to get in the free raffles for. One of them's a 16-inch billet degree wheel, and the other is a dial bore gauge, something you're going to use over the wintertime. Proformparts.com. Check them out. Crew Chief Pro Software. Got to shout out Don Higgins, man. George, we got to shout out Don Higgins. He was going deep at that race. I think he had some freak deal where one of his spark plugs blew out or something like that. Something that never happens whenever the time that, well, you never want it to happen, but definitely not in 7th round. But Don Higgins was getting ready to get it done. That Crew Chief Pro Software, I'm telling you, I heard the announcer say that it's dead even off the hit. Load up 400s. I said, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it turns out one of those spark plugs blew out on him, slowed him up about 400s at the very end of the track. and just a freak deal. But Crew Chief Pro was getting it done out there, man. So shout out to Don Higgins, and he did everything to show y'all why you need to get Crew Chief Pro software. Visit crewchiefpro.com and get it over wintertime, so that way you're not left in the dark whenever it comes springtime in 2025 when we all start racing again. Don't destroy your fittings anymore.
I heard that, man. Casey, you still with me?
I'm with you.
Yeah, man.
I heard myself there for a second.
You cut out only for a quick second there, but we got a few kinks to work out in the shop, guys. It's getting better and better and better every day. So, hey, man, it's pretty awesome that you come live to us from the shop, though. We get a chance to see what you had built for your racing operation. But, yeah, Casey, man, I utter everything you said, dude. Special shout-out to everybody who's been behind us all this time here at Going Bracket Racing. And I had myself quite a weekend, Casey. We actually had the perfect storm, man, where I know you caught pretty well the majority of everything Gainesville, and I was fortunate enough in some way, shape, or form to catch everything Extreme Raceway Park with two promoters putting on two stellar events from what I saw. I would have to imagine everybody else felt the same just based on what I'm seeing on my social media and just seeing recaps from other people who were at these events. So let's go for a quick recap, Casey, man. Tell me what you saw going on out there in Gainesville.
Well, I guess we might as well shout out the people who won the race first. Give them their glory that they very well deserve, especially a guy named Claude Debanis, who absolutely dominated everything out there at Gainesville, man. I mean, he picked up the win in the 15K, I believe, over Will Holloman. He ended up winning the last 60K over, I believe, Tommy DeApril. So great weekend for Claude Debanis out there. Well-deserved MVP trophy for that. Chris Galletti, runners up to Paul Skinger in the 60K on Saturday in the borrowed ride that Will Holloman is typically in. It's actually a local guy that owns that. I think one of the Browns own that out here, races at Galat quite a bit. But Chris and Corey Galletti, man, they had a terrible week as far as motors go. Ended up absolutely destroying a motor. I want to say Corey's motor blew the entire backside of the block out of it, which I've never seen happen on an NA motor before. But obviously a very good choice on Will Holloman's behalf to put Chris Galletti in that car. Drives it to the finals. That thing was 429, 430 every single run. You know, you and I talked about this actually a little bit earlier, and it's kind of funny how it works because you always kind of think of it in a way of Dale Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr., where Jr. always lives in Dale Earnhardt's shadow. Well, it's funny because I feel like Chris Galletti is living in his son's shadow because Corey came out and was just phenomenal from the time he was 16, 17 years old and never slowed down. But don't sleep on Chris Galletti, man, because Chris Galletti will get it done time to time also.
Yeah, or Bob. You know what I mean? He just comes from a pretty big name racing stable altogether, if you want to be technical. You know, you get the ability to pick the brains of what John Force would call a brain trust in your racing operation, just day in, day out, you know. He's likely grew up at a racetrack. I almost guarantee that's the case with Dad racing, and I believe it's Uncle Bob racing as well. So watch out for those Galettis. I don't care what it is. Bob's in a S10 generally, and he'll knock you plumb off the racetrack if you let him. So, I mean, it's a pretty good perfect storm over there at Team Galetti, if I'm being honest. You're right, though, Casey. Seems as if Chris Galetti, the OGCG himself, maybe by choice, if we want to be honest here, doesn't seem to get as much recognition. Well, you're getting it right now, Chris. We saw you out there, buddy. I've been seeing you all year long, if you want to be honest. You're always going rounds. So OGCG's always near the split somewhere, Casey.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, it's, you know, I've never met Chris, but I did meet Corey last year whenever we were at PRI. And I mean, good people, man. So it's always good to see. I've never heard a bad thing about any of them. So that says a lot because people like to talk about you time to time. And if nobody's talking bad about you, then you must be good. So glad to see it happen for good people. But
yeah.
George, we might as well, man. We might as well just get right into the meat and potatoes of this whole show of episode 177.
Let me shout out the OXRP race here real quick before we do that.
Okay,
just
yeah,
kind
let's
of
go ahead.
Quick recap, man. Got a chance to go out there with Pennington Productions, the Pennington Bros. Definitely some pretty sweet things being brought on by that production or a promotion company coupled with Finish Line Customs. quite a few other big name sponsors out there back in the race right here in my backyard at XRP Extreme Raceway Park. Bart Nelson, I'm pretty sure people know that name, Mr. $1 Million Man himself, claimed the 15, I do believe. I want to say Scooter Hamlin took a no box on that same day. And found his way racing down in that into the money pretty good there as well. Rudd Racing Engines Brett Lancaster, he got a pretty good job going on out there. I watched him get it in. Wyatt Neeson got day number 2's 15, and Jake Howard, I believe, won no box. So if I missed anybody, I apologize, but let me shout out the old Pennington brothers for I believe this is just their second event, Casey, as a promotion company, a production, whatever you want to call them, and it went really, really well from the top to the bottom. I mean, the team is a well-oiled machine already. I want to say there may have been just right at 300 cars at this event, or I believe it was 300 because it was a single entry type of deal. You don't got the ability to double enter this race, so that's number one, right? But number two, the facility was excellent. The feel of everything happening at this event was excellent, and I just gotta shout them out, man. Good job over there to you guys putting it all together. The duck races were awesome, a great touch. Bringing in Ronnie to be behind the mic, you guys felt like we were having a conversation the whole time and not just shouting numbers through the speakers. That was a very nice touch to that event. Looking forward to the next one. Casey.
Absolutely, man. That's yet another family you never hear a bad thing about too. You know, I mean, it's great to see. It's great to see people who are racers coming out and stepping out onto the fringes and putting it back into the sport, because everybody knows the Pennington brothers know what it's like to be in the split round. Pennington brothers know what it's like to win big races, and they also know what it's like to dedicate their lives to racing. So it's very similar. I know I always go back to this, but it's very similar to the whole Gulfport Dragway thing, where you have people who have to make the tough decisions that have been in that situation before and understand what it's like. So I expect them to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, man. And to utter what you just said, or kind of just piggyback on it, everybody there pretty much that was in cahoots with the whole event were of racing stock. So we're all bracket racers, from the announcer to me on the cameras, to Peeps and all the Pennington bros and the lanes, to the racers' wives and the ladies' diva lounge, or whatever we're calling it, I believe. Everybody has been around this sport for quite a long time, and it really shows, because things just go smoother from start to finish. So again, guys, looking forward to, if you missed out on this event down here at Extreme Raceway Park, number one, top-notch facility. Hats off to all the guys at Extreme Raceway Park who were prepping the track, cleaning the track, keeping some heat in the track, whatever you want to call it, because it had teeth in it. That's all I got to tell you.
Yeah. So now that's perfect segue right there.
Oh, yeah.
See, I forgot, guys. I mean, I don't know. How do I forget that George was streaming a race? I watched half of it. I don't know. I was going in between stuff. I was down and out this weekend, man. So I was watching racing all weekend. It was a good weekend to be stuck in a chair, I guess. But how cold is too cold for racing, man? We've seen it posted everywhere. You know, people blaming tracks, people blaming track prep. Everybody, you know, it's always kind of, if there's something to complain about, people are going to complain. But I mean, ultimately, it was cold this weekend, right? It's Thanksgiving, dude. We're all starting to be off tomorrow or the next day for Thanksgiving, right? It's cold. I know that there's been times where Jim Simmons used to tell us all the time that he used to go down to turkey trots. Him and Rod Schaefer went down one time, and they were going down, and there were snow flurries while they were going down the track. It's part of it. If you're going to race this time of year, you need to have something that is capable of racing this time of year. And the answer is not going to be what you think it's going to be. It's not going to be Casey saying, hey, don't run your 430 dragster whenever it's 40 degrees outside. That's actually not what I was thinking about. What I was thinking about was, prime example, Gainesville on Friday. Obviously, it's cold down there. At a certain point, you can only do what you can do, but that track crew was out on the track every single time. You can't fault the track crew for anything. You can't fault folk promotions for anything. They were doing everything they could do to make everything perfect. However, I saw a 457 dragster literally top fuel the tires off the starting line, immediately go up in tire smoke, something you do not see a bracket car do. So you say, oh, well, the track's bad. Okay, well, on the surface, it looks like that. Now, let me tell you this, though. Very next run in the same lane, Bailey Ferraro comes up, dialed 438, pulls the wheels off the starting line and runs 438. So you telling me that the track's bad? Then I don't understand really how that works. Now, there are a lot of cars getting loose in the left lane in particular. But again, then all of a sudden, there's a 460 Cutlass comes up. Should be one of the most track-dependent race cars out there. 462, 462, 462. I mean, it's one after another. I want to say John Budakowski, I think is his name. I don't know if it's John or whatever. I know his last name is Budakowski. That's obviously not something there's only one kind of name like that. But anyway, really fast Chevy 2. Last day of the race. Plenty cold, dark outside. John Budakowski dialed low 480s in a Chevy 2. Down to 3 cars. I mean, 482, 484 every single run, driving the finish line. I mean, cars like that, if they're going down, at a certain point, you need to look at your racing program. You need to realize this is something we talked about yesterday, I think, George. At a certain point, these guys got to realize, we heard the announcer say it this weekend and almost last month, I feel like a phrase people have been saying is the new 440. Like you always see dragster style 444 anymore.
Right.
Well, 10 years ago, that would have been, say, 464. 20 years ago, that would have been 494. We're not driving 490 4-link dragsters anymore, man. At a certain point, you got to realize you're in a top dragster now. Like you're bracket racing a top dragster.
Right.
You have a lot of these cars, they have race packs on them. They have fuel tech on them. They have Holley on them. They have all this stuff, all these sensors. People need to start looking at those sensors and figuring out, what do they mean? How do I make this car better? You're not driving a regular bracket car anymore. You need to learn how to make the car work in all conditions.
Right. And kind of it seemingly, Casey, this top fuel dragster smoking the tire bracket car anomaly that we saw in Gainesville actually happened at Extreme Raceway Park as well, in the exact same manner. While leaving the starting line, a 440 car struck the tires. Okay, I don't know if it was on new tires. I'm not getting on anybody about how they're doing their equipment, none of that. But what I'm saying is, I could then watch a 430 car or a 420 car, same lane, go right down the track and go dead on. So I'm not necessarily saying that more horsepower is the way to go in the cold either. But what I am saying is, if you're on a track surface, everybody's surface is the exact same. Nobody gets the ability to say, make my track excellent, but make his poor. So if we're all competing on the same level playing field of a racetrack, and one car goes down and one car doesn't, it is time to look at how are we, what am I doing wrong here? Hey, these old Mickey Thompsons must be shot, or something of that nature, or a shock adjustment, or a leaf chip change, or obviously going down, not up, it would be my thought. But what's your game plan, Casey, if you're going to a track? Let's say you got the Chevelle out. What's your game plan going to the track with a car that's capable of running in the 430s and a door car at that? What are we doing?
I mean, obviously, if it's super cold outside, you got to assume that starting line's not going to be that great. So, number one, you got to turn it down off the line. I mean, I would say anything out there that's going, any dragster or door car or anything that's going, I would say 470 or faster, I would almost guarantee 95% of them at least have an MSD grid in them, which means you have time control. And by the way, for all you grid haters, that 7AL3 that you think is fine, you can still pull timing with that with chips. So it's the same thing. It's just not electronic. But anyways, you would want to, for sure, kill some power off the line, be that lowering the leave, be that pulling timing, however you want to do it. You can't act like the track's going to be stellar. If you think the track's going to be stellar at any point, whenever it's past November, I don't know what you're thinking really anyway, unless it's just happens to be. I mean, because at Gainesville, at the same time, now that I say that, at Gainesville, it could have very well been 85 degrees that day,
But at the same time,
at any different year.
It's the same in the heat. Like, you go to a racetrack and it's hot outside. If it's 120, 110 degrees outside, okay, so the conditions of that track are not going to be the greatest. It is what it is,
right?
Because it's just so stinking hot. It works the same way when it's cold. But I see a comment in here out of Ronald. I think your last name is Condell, but I'm sorry, Coddle. But I'm sorry if I messed that up. He's saying in here he tunes his race car to track conditions. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Do we actually pay attention to what the track's going to be, or do we show up to a racetrack in November or in July or August here in Texas where it's going to be blazing saddles out here? Okay, do we show up with the same tune-up that we would run in optimal air, 70 degrees, 60 degree, the density altitude below 1,000? Okay, and I'm leaving a little bit of room for error here as well, because I know that there were quite a few Colorado racers that came out to this event, which hats off to you guys coming out and having a good time with us. I don't necessarily know the difference in between what you're going to gain from coming from Colorado to come to Texas down here dang near sea level, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a bunch. So there's a chance you did try to adjust your machine to navigate cold air. You just had a little bit more horsepower to adjust with. You know what I mean? So not taking anything from those people, but yeah, Casey, man, the game plan would, in my opinion, would definitely say we had better look at lowering something. What you got?
Well, here's a quote that I always think about. Jared Pennington. Everybody knows Jared Pennington, but I remember a Sportsman Drag Racing podcast from years and years and years ago that Jared Pennington said, if his car isn't getting down the track, he's going to go over to the fence and he's going to see if someone else is going down the track that has something relatively similar to his. And if they're going down, that's his problem. He ain't going to go complain to the track manager about whatever's going on. And furthermore, I would even take that further to say, I think a lot of people have been spoiled lately with the tracks being stellar compared to what they were, 15, 20 years ago. And what I mean by that is that the track, people have forgotten, the track actually exists so you don't have to street race. And typically, it is rare that one lane would be better than another, like significantly better. But, one lane might be better than another, but not a significant amount. But ultimately, that track is there so you don't have to go street race. So really, the track is, as long as it's equal in both lanes, if it's equally bad in both lanes and both lanes are equally good, then it doesn't matter because we're all doing the same thing. It's still up to us to make the car go down the track. You can't say anything, again, I've mainly watched Gainesville, so I'm talking about Gainesville. Man, that staff was out on the track every time that rounds were over with. Absolutely. They couldn't have done anything more than what they could have done. I guess the only thing further they could have done would have been to take a jet dryer and blow the whole thing down, and while cars weren't going down it, and blow flames on it up and down the track, which obviously is excessive if you're not an NHRA national event.
Right.
But ultimately, I mean, they did everything in their power they could. No one was just sitting around dragging their feet, and there were plenty of people that were getting down that were in faster cars that were not getting down.
Yeah.
So if they're getting down.
Door cars,
right?
Casey. We had a Finish Line Customs car out here at XRP. I want to say he was running 460s every rip, and he was going straight down the track too. But I don't know if it's a fallacy or what. There is it. Wouldn't you would consider a door car to be more track dependent than a dragster is the census? Am I right?
Right. Yeah. The speaking of, Adam Booyah just texted me. He isn't commenting in the YouTube chat, guys, but he just texted me, a jet dryer is just a big fan. And now Matthew Medlin's texting me. I don't know why these guys don't put their voices out there on the YouTube chat.
YouTube,
They're just over here texting me. I'm going to call them out anyway. They're probably going to keep on texting me now that I said that. But
Kenny McNichols in here saying he spoke about this with John LaBouse yesterday, and he was saying nobody says you have to run 430s. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I know it ain't cool, but put a wing on that pipe rack is what he says. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
There's a reason that they exist.
Come on.
There's a reason why certain things exist, and ultimately that's why a wing exists. And also, you know, I don't agree with everything that the no prep guys do. They do some crazy stuff, but ultimately those no prep guys, man, if you want to look for innovation and you want to see cars that are going down and they're going down fast, well, guess what? If they can go down no prepping like that in pro mods or these small tire cars that are just back half cars that realistically shouldn't be going as fast as they're going, but they still are. If they can get down that no prep deal, then we can figure something out whenever we have any sort of prep to get down them. So, I mean, It's, you know, it is what it is. But I mean, at the same time, Nick Hastings was still doubled at 11 cars. You know, and that car is a short wheelbase, not a big tire, but not a small tire either. Somewhere in the middle, but like a 90-inch wheelbase 616 car. I mean, it leaves relatively violent, you know, as far as pulling the wheels goes and stuff. Mm-hmm. And his was going down and going dead on. And we all know nobody's going to argue it. Nick Hastings is quite possibly the best that's ever done it and ever will do it in any category. So if he can get down, everybody else should.
Well, there's no argument to be had there, Casey, man. But hang in there, guys. We're going to cut into what we call the marketing partner section of our show and give a few words to you guys from the ones who make it possible for us to keep GBR going. Like and subscribe, as always. Don't forget that ProForm giveaway is coming up here pretty soon, and better to be in it to win it, or you can't win at all. So I tried to be smart there. It didn't really work, but hit that like and subscribe. We'll see you in just a second.
TSR Racing Products has everything you need to make your Power Glide Turbo 350, Turbo 400, and 727 transmissions the best they can be on the street or at the track. With exceptional products, customer service, and over 30 years of experience, TSR Racing Products is always available to help their customers with any of their transmission needs. In-house machining ensures you only receive the best products from TSR Racing. Visit TSR Racing Products at tsr-racing.com or give them a call at 800-394-5889.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
Innovation never sleeps at ProForm, and we're making our popular Black Race Series carburetors even better by adding new features that will set them apart from the competition. Some of the newest features include a newly designed main body with contoured Venturas for better airflow and a new inside and outside two-step down leg boosters for increased atomization and better throttle response. Also, newly designed fuel bowls with increased internal baffling for better fuel control and a lower fuel ramp for reduced turbulence. There are also some new upgrades to point out. The fuel bowls now both include nitrofill floats, and the throttle base plate now has slabbed shafts for better airflow. These new features, combined with a fully adjustable high-flow main body with screw-in air bleeds, billet metering blocks, high-performance billet throttle base plate, and aluminum fuel bowls with sight glass windows, makes for a great street strip carburetor that packs a punch.
All right, welcome back to the show. Going Bracket Racing Live, episode 177. Thanks everybody for joining us here today and being part of the GBR community. Casey and I really enjoy coming on here every week in, week out, and being able to talk drag racing with you guys. Especially coming up in these coming up months, we're going to be in that winter series where if you ain't watching any sports, some basketball, some football, or something, it can get quite bored. And hopefully you're not tearing down something that you broke at the racetrack in the first place. But if you are, make sure you give a shout out to our marketing partners over there at Driven Racing Oil, Proform Parts, Ken Jones Racing Performance, Syntex Printing, TSR Racing Products, Power Glides, transmissions, whatever you need out there. Team 14 Motorsports, everybody on the list here, as you can see on our screen, has the ability to do something for your racing operation. So make sure you take a look at our sponsors when you get ready to go and fix up your race car for the next season. I know one thing, the topic of this thing, everybody better go out and get some Crew Chief Pro, because, boy, not only can you predict, but it can tell you when that air is going to be cold. I can promise you that. You might have to do a bigger burnout like what The Rock Racing is saying over here in that YouTube chat. So, Casey, man, as we continue off into this show, just trying to make sure we did a good enough job of hitting on the whole "it's getting cold out here" subject. I felt like, and this is off the top of my head, it'd be a great time to have that old Mickey Thompson versus Hoosier conversation. And now you can throw the Goodyear back into the mix too, because I hear a lot of people running it. But what's everybody running out there, I guess? Leave some comments in the chat. What do you think would be the tire of choice in the cold weather? What about air pressure? Are we changing any of this stuff? You know what I mean? This is all stuff to think about whenever we're going to a cold event. So, Casey, man, anything else to add before we switch topics up a little bit?
Not really, man. It's just kind of going back, I guess, to what we said in the very beginning. It's up to us as the guys who own the cars to ultimately get the car to work. And I've always kind of been an advocate of you don't really want to be the guy that has to pay somebody to tell you what to do with your stuff, because one day you're not going to be able to get a hold of them. And maybe this weekend might have been one of those weekends, because even if you're the dude's best friend, he might have 20 people calling him from the same event. Maybe he can't answer the phone for you. So ultimately it's up to you to make your stuff work. And I'm not saying that, I'm better than anybody else at it. I'm just saying that I'm learning how to do everything myself, because ultimately you won't be able to have someone answer the phone, or that guy won't be there at the track with you one day and you'll need him. Yep. So I don't ever want to need anybody that I just don't ever want to have to not know what I'm doing with my own stuff.
Yeah, and this goes kind of without being said too, but all of us have a little bit of Austin Coyle in us, or Jimmy Prock, or whoever one of our favorite tuners are in the National Hot Rod Association. We've got a little bit of that in us as well, to where we can make adjustments based on what we're seeing traction-wise or weather-wise or all of that. And I just want to pat everybody on the back for, number one, having that ability, but also kick you in the pants to make you to use that ability when you need it. So that was the reason for this topic in the very beginning of this thing in the first place. And just bringing awareness. We probably all can learn something from this past weekend and watching people compete and seeing those who are prepared. I know I talked to Scooter Hamlin, and I'm pretty sure his car can run down a gravel road and still go dead on. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? It's just stuff like that. And even, or if you got a fast tune-up, well, you better have that tune-up that can put you down a gravel road too. That's all I got. You know what I mean? So one thing I wanted to talk about towards the latter part of this show, though, kind of off the cuff here, but I'm going to be looking at an enclosed trailer here before too long for old Mo, and kind of curious at what you look for in a trailer, Casey. So we got a lot of newer followers and newer bracket racers in this show, as we see through our emails, through our chats on the Facebook side of things, and even on my cell phone. I've even talked to a few guys, just kind of welcome to bracket racing number one. But what are you looking for in an enclosed trailer, Casey, whenever you're about to buy something new, or even what would you suggest for somebody who's brand new to the sport, especially keeping that in mind, because we do have a lot of brand new riders in here, drivers.
I can tell you, if you're looking for an enclosed trailer, the number one thing you want first is electric tongue jack. That's number one, because that's a pain to crank those big old trailers up, especially if you got a big old gooseneck or like a 32 footer like what I got. That's big and heavy. So I'd look for that first.
Yep.
Secondarily, the speed clean you see right over here. If you see one with black streaks, don't necessarily turn away just because it's got black streaks. Try to lowball that guy saying it looks like crap and use that speed clean with GBR 10. Get you a case of that, and you can it won't make it look brand new, but it will make it look significantly better, like probably 75%. And if you were good with a buffer, you might be able to make it look brand new. So you could potentially get a trailer that might be a $15,000 trailer, maybe pay the guy like $6,500 because it looks like crap, and then maybe have you a $12,500 trailer once you put in the elbow grease. So speed clean, I'm telling you, speed clean degreaser right there.
Speed clean.
I would say another thing would be, depending on the length of it and what you're planning on hauling in it, either triple axle or dual axle weights. I wish my trailer has 3 7,500-pound axles. And it just rides rough, man, because it's realistically, that's what you should have on like probably a 48 or a 53-foot trailer that you would have 2 cars in or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we originally built it, we were like, oh, we're going to haul 2 dragsters with big blocks in them and stuff. And we didn't think about the fact that the dragsters are half the weight of a door car, and it kind of just jostles around a little bit at times. But it'll haul anything you want to haul. GVW's on like almost 19,000 on it. So, I know that if you're trying to abide by the rules and stuff, you need to think about your overall length, obviously, if you're getting a gooseneck, because I think technically you're only supposed to be like 60 feet long in some areas. If you got an RV, you'll be over limit pretty quick if you're 28 foot or more.
Right. Everybody's doing that anyway. Like, come on. We're all over.
Yeah, realistically, the way I see it is if you get checked for that, either you got the one police officer that's in a really bad mood that day, or you put him in a bad mood doing whatever it was you were doing.
Yeah, true.
So, because they're going to measure big trucks, but they're not going to measure an RV typically. I don't know, man. There's a lot to consider, really. In my ideal world, I would love to have a 48-foot trailer with just a bathroom package, not an actual living quarters, because then you would still have the vast majority of the floor space, but then you'd have a toilet and a shower, mm-hmm. and then an AC unit. That would be ideal. And then throw your mattress up on the top, and then you and your wife sleep up there. If you got little kids, they can sleep up there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they can be out on the cot on the floor.
So one thing you didn't mention, I feel like has to go in there too, especially from my case. I don't really know, and you would have to help me with this one because I know you've had an enclosed for a while. But even with my open trailer, I gotta jack that joker up pretty high. Almost sits pretty low. So what are your thoughts on a winch that comes out of there too, Casey? Is that a deal breaker? It's kind of easy to add either way you look at it, but are you looking to have a winch in there? Who wired the winch? I know some people might not be the best at wiring winches. You know what I mean?
Well, winch, you can go to Harbor Freight and get you a winch, and they're actually not. The only thing that sucks about the Harbor Freight ones is they don't have the deal that guides your winch in to keep the cable. So you gotta. So I just push mine with my foot. But man, I can tell you that Harbor Freight winch I got, I want to say it's a 3,500 pounder. And the reason I have to jack my trailer up so high is because it doesn't have a dovetail. Because again, we got it for hauling 2 dragsters, so then the dragsters will both be sitting on the flat was our idea. So I have to jack my trailer all the way up as high as the tongue goes, and it's pulled by Nova in with an iron-headed big block, which that car with an iron-head big block was 3050 without a driver, I think. And it pulled it up there, no problem. I haven't had any issues with it. So yes, you want a winch, I would say. But it's definitely not a deal breaker because you can get one for $250, something like that. And Dad's got an even smaller one than that in his little trailer, and it's never had a problem pulling anything in either. I want to say it's only a 2,500 pounder, but that trailer does have a dovetail where you don't have to So it makes it a little easier.
Right, right. And then if anything else, I mean, a lot of us aren't really, if especially at the very beginning of this whole thing, it's something you said, Casey, that really rang out for me, and it was the use the old speed clean. Get you a trailer that, we don't have to have $100,000 setups in bracket racing. All right, we just need to be able to get to the track. It's our day if we're on the tree. If we're 00 dead on, you can beat just about anybody. That's all I gotta tell you. So. But looking at some of these older trailers, Casey, man, and just cleaning them up to your liking. I know you're buying something used, not necessarily brand new. I don't know what I'm gonna be able to do when I get ready to buy my enclosed, but I wouldn't mind having my stream set up as well as being able to pull my race car in there, so I can have a golf cart at the track. That's my main goal in the first place, is to have a golf cart at the track. So. No, man, I figured this question has been surfacing just a little bit. Figured we'd take a little time to answer it and see everybody's thoughts on it. So, yeah, man, I really don't have much left for the day, man. You were spot on with that electric jack, though, because I got to crank mine up every time. So it is what it is.
Oh, yeah. I've had my battery die on me one time a couple years ago. And I had to crank on that thing. And nothing is worse than having an electric tongue jack that dies. And now you got to work against the electric motor to get it to come up. That's terrible. That's the worst. That's just like driving a car where the power steering pump went out.
Here's a comment from Tex Griffiths here. He says, open tilt trailer is the easy way to go. I definitely agree with that and enjoy my open trailer. So not taking anything from that trailer that's sitting out there. And number two, it can hear me, so I don't want to talk too loud in the first place. But definitely, if you're going the open route, go for it. And you're gonna be just fine with the open trailer as well. Just getting to the point to where I've got to put some walls around. There's just so much going on. I want a little bit more space to be able to haul fuel and leave it there when I'm done with it, not have to have it in the back of the truck per se, and gives me a little bit more organization in my whole racing program. I don't have to put up my Chief Pro pole every single time I go somewhere or plug it in. No, I just plug it in at the computer from that point and leave it wired. So I don't know, just a little bit more.
And a lot of people don't think about it too, but you could put up some of those freezer flaps on the side door and get you one of those, get a window unit or a roll around AC unit, and you can sleep in there overnight.
Yep.
You can. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. And like you said, most importantly, a lot of times, man, if you're doing any kind of good at the racetrack, you're going to be coming home at about 1 or 2 in the morning. And if I don't, I live in the country, so it wouldn't be that big a deal for me. But I know for you live in a subdivision. You don't want to have your race car sitting out at night on the side of the road or something like that.
Yep.
You live in the city, whatever. You don't have to come home and put your stuff in the garage to make yourself feel better so you can actually sleep at night.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because anytime I've had to leave old Mo on the side of the road, it is pretty nerve-wracking. I generally put a car right behind him, but still, it's very uncomfortable. So,
yeah, at least if the way I kind of feel about it is, at least if you have an enclosed trailer, they got to steal everything. They can't just steal the truck off the trailer, or they can't just steal just the trailer. Like, they got to steal the whole rig, and that's a lot more difficult than just taking the truck off the trailer, because guess what? Slide those ramps out an open trailer, roll it off quietly.
Yep.
Gone.
No, that's why I put a car behind it. So you gotta steal the car too. You know what I mean?
Another thing that I will say, if you have an electric tongue jack, a smart thing to do is jack the jack all the way up, or like as far as you can go with it still being hooked up to the truck or whatever, and then pull the fuse out of it. So that's one more thing that inhibits their ability to do it. I know people do that at hotels a lot.
Yep. Nope, that's all good stuff right there. So, yeah, Casey, man, that was like I said, it was just something we needed to talk about. We had that topic come in through Going Bracket Racing. I don't remember if it was email or what, but something we needed to talk about, get it out there in the air, man. So, but before we get out of here, and in closing, what you got for us, Casey?
Just as always, if you have any sort of topics or specific people you want interviewed or whatever, then always give us an email over at goingbracketracing@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on the Facebook page. Just message us on Facebook. We're on there all the time. Obviously, we're on there right now, so we always see the Facebook page if you want to leave comments, something like that. Anything specific you want talked about or someone you want talked to, then send them our way. We're always more than happy to learn a little bit more about anybody within the sport or around the sport, or somebody who's bringing any kind of new products that you think we could get out there. Then we're more than happy to help everybody with that. We appreciate everybody watching like you do. We're going to switch now for from here on out. We're going to start going live at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central. So 30 minutes later for everybody else. Hopefully it's better viewing time for the rest of you. I know a lot of you have said you wanted us to go a little bit later. Now you can maybe watch it on your way home from work or something like that and take some of that car ride up. So maybe everybody can participate a little more. If you want to, again, if you want to get anything to us, you can always message in the live chat. Listen to us on Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to get in all the ProForm parts giveaways that we're doing through the rest of the year. Maybe we'll just do, I know we missed last week because we were getting ready for that other stream, and I think a week prior to that we might have missed something. So maybe we'll just give them both away for Christmas.
Yep. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, but we can't get in if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button over there on the YouTube side. I'm going to shout out a couple races that I know are coming up out of OCP Promotions. Shout out to you for the Del Pelage second annual race. I do believe it is there. Everybody heading that direction. Make sure you have a good time. It's a good time of year, Thanksgiving and all. Eat good before you get on the road and get on out there towards Port Allen, and go ahead out there to state capital. Looks like there's something going on at Gulfport Dragway too. The Turkey Day Bash, according to TJ Pruitt, is going to be happening there. It's going to be their first big bracket race on a new surface, and he's saying he hadn't heard nothing but good things about that track as well. So anybody who is racing over the holiday, I envy you, number one. But number two, be safe travels, things of that nature, and have a good time. On behalf of Going Bracket Racing, guys, though, we'll see you for episode 178 on next Tuesday. Make it a good one. See you later.